Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today we want to knit a very simple neck warmer on a Brother 260 knitting machine with a ribber. And we are going to use a circular knitting technique, so it will be a seamless tube. And for the top and bottom edge, I will just fold in and sew it to the back. The way to make it more interesting is to use interesting colors such as a self-striping yarn. I have sock yarn here. It's my go-to socks, Croy socks, because it's easier to find in the store locally. And it has 70% wool content, so it will be very warm. But you can use a different weight of yarn and just change the cast on stitches based on your tension. And I'm going to cast on 140 stitches totally. That will be half on the knitter and half on the ribber. First we want to set the pitch. I want it to be half pitch, so I set it to H3. I'm going to cast on from left 35 to right 35 on the knitter. And on the ribber, it will be in between the knitter stitches. So my end needle will be on the knitter for both sides. The circular knitting is similar to the ribbing, but because we want it open in the bottom, we will have to start with a waste yarn. And after we knit the circular rows, we can take off the waste yarn, so you'll be open in the bottom. First, we move all the needles to the B position. My waste yarn is threaded, and I set it to lowest tension and just plain knitting, the same as a ribber, and we knit one row. So the first row will be the zigzag row, similar to the 1x1 ribbing. Now we just hang the cast on comb and hang some weight. Now I have my cast on comb and weight. I'm going to start changing to the main yarn. So I have to cut off the waste yarn and hang a clip below the machine. Now I thread my main yarn and clip it below. I can start to set the main tension. Because this is fingering weight yarn on a bulky knitting machine, so I want my tension to be pretty low. I set it to tension 1 for both knitter and the ribber. Another important setting is the part button. For the knitter, I press the left side, and the ribber, I have the right side set to the part, so we can start the circular knitting. Other settings are the same without change. I can set the counter back to 0, 0, 0 and start knitting the main part. So we will start knitting back and forth. And because this is circular knitting, you need 2 rows to complete 1 round. So we will have to double the stitch numbers. You can see the first row needs only the knitter. Now the ribber is knitted, so the 2 rows count as 1 round, and we'll just keep going until the length you like. And try to knit a little bit slowly, because sometimes the tension on the edge stitch will be a little bit off. You might have to use your hand to manipulate a little bit so it's more even. So just take your time and do it slowly. I end up knitting about 160 rows. Half of that is 80, so it's 80 rounds. So I make sure I have enough to fold in on the top and bottom edges. Now I'm going to change to waste yarn and knit a few rows and take it off the machine. Here is what it looks like after taking it off the machine. It's like a bag. You can see it's open in the center. And this side, if I take off the waste yarn, it will be open too. But because it's live stitch, I will use some needle and yarn to pick up all the live stitches before I take off the waste yarn. And this is the side with the waste yarn when we finish knitting. And after that, we will just need to fold it in and sew it up. So just cut off a piece of yarn at least 3 times of the length you want to go through and pick up stitch one by one. After taking off the waste yarn, we can fold it in about 1 inch or 1.5 inch and just start sewing up stitch by stitch. And we will do the same on the other side. And make sure it's not too tight. There's no seam on the sides. It's a continuous piece. That's a finished neck warmer. Thank you for watching and see you next time.